Welcome, Theresa.
Welcome, thank you.
Tesco continues to be a very successful company, very competitive. Perhaps you could give us some sort of idea how you keep the HR agenda fresh and interesting for people to work for the company.
Yeah, well, first of all, the areas that I look after are called retailing services. So, very fortunate to be working in growth areas such as Tesco.com, which is split into the grocery business and the non-food business, Tesco Telecoms and Tesco Bank. And then there's a couple of other areas such as strategy and the dunnhumby business that we have also. So the HR agenda is one really of reinvention. So predominantly telecoms and the bank are in sectors where traditionally habits and practices have left customers feeling confused, in some instances betrayed by some of the products that were given to them. So bringing those into the Tesco mix and actually expanding and putting a profile on them means that we're using the values in order to do the right thing for our customers and for our staff. And pushing the boundaries on things that were quite traditional in terms of things like pay and rewards, and how we position and proposition those products to customers. So a huge challenge, and of course very different areas. What's required for working in banking is very different to what you'd require for a person working perhaps on a shop floor in a distribution centre. So it's been mindful of the skill, breaking down silos so that in time people can work from one business to another and all have an opportunity to get on under the Tesco umbrella. So it's a really exciting time actually.
With regard to Tesco's continued success, it's quite a rarity in the economy. Have you changed any of your HR opinions since recession has started with regard to issues such as reward and engagement and those sort of HR issues?
I don't think I've changed my opinion, but what you do is you ensure that the framework and the policy and process that you've got in place is right and fit and purpose for how you're working and the needs of your workforce.
Do you do that mainly through staff surveys?
Yeah, we do. We have an annual survey called Viewpoint, and then we do a half-year review, which it doesn't include everybody, but it's a half-year review which gives you a sense of how people are feeling, and then quarterly reviews. What happens in between that is that each manager puts in place an action plan, and they review that then on a regular basis. And it's important then that whatever's happened during the year, they keep talking about. And then when it comes to the annual survey, reminding people what it is that they've done since the previous year. Now that tends to work really well. Another thing that we've put in place is that people get a monthly communication, which we call Team 5. So it literally is 5 minutes getting people together and talking to them about the key points of how the business is performing and any significant messages in there for them. And then in between that, you'll have either weekly meetings or huddles where it doesn't necessarily have to be a meeting, but you just get people together and it's spontaneous. You talk to them about things that are happening that's immediate. So having channels that will work, keeping it consistent and keeping it simple means that wherever you work, in whatever location, you've got a common currency that people understand. We also have a magazine that comes out and a paper that comes out, and they seem to be really popular.
Yeah. What are the key HR messages to the workforce for Tesco in 2010?
I think 3 things really. Focus on the things we know will happen. So we know that legislation will come out twice a year. We know that the economy will move into a new phase of growth. We know that there'll be an election. So plan very, very well with your processes and policies for what you know will happen. Then give yourself time to think about strategies and contingencies for things that might happen. So if you know that you're ready for anything that could happen, absence levels going up, think about what impact that might be. You've got a competitor that's opening right next to you. what could the impact of that be? Let's start having a look at that. You're going to open a new call centre in an area that you've not been in before. What's the impact of that? What does the local community look like? What does the workforce look like? And then finally, really, plan and be in a position where you're agile enough to take on board things that you can't plan for. And interestingly, the recent weather that we've had, the extreme weather we've had with the snow, you can tell by doing agility planning where people have probably put in very, very good plans for things like swine flu. When the snow happened, you can take that and you can put that into place and say, actually, we did that, we got that ready for high absence, let's take what we were going to do and let's put it into place. And being agile enough to be able to do that is a good place to be. So I think there'd be my 3 areas of focus.